Welcome to the February update. This month has this feeling of breaking through. And the best way to describe that would be to envision a seedling when it's coming up and breaking through the earth. So the seed has been planted, you've broke the ground over and over and over again. So the ground has already been broken and the seeds have been planted. But this month is the seedling. So it's coming up, and breaking through the ground and starting to come more tangibly into form. So it's not that it hasn't been something already in that process of seed turning into seedling, but the month of February really feels like everything that has been planted is starting to break through. That's the best way to describe it. And you've already done the dissension. There has been the descent into the inner depths and the inner worlds and having that reflection, perhaps some breakdowns before the breakthroughs, but you've been in that descent inward. And now this is the ascension to rise up, and to be above ground as well. That's an important thing to mention. The seedling is breaking through the earth and coming above ground. So what has been beneath the surface is no more, and everything is starting to rise. And for some, that could be exciting because you've had projects that you've been working on, and it's almost like they've been in this gestation period, and now you can see them forming. They're like the legs are starting to become formed. So if you were thinking, how is this going to work? What is this going to look like? After having that creative idea, now you're seeing all of the pieces come into place. Perhaps if you needed more materials or other people are involved, whatever that is, you're seeing everything in a more tangible way where it's becoming more real. We could even say things are becoming more real. Once again, this could be dreams, desires, visions. This could be for you, your inner journey that you've been in the descent to the rising. This could be professionally in so many different ways, relationships, everything. And when you look at that analogy of the seedling, or if you envision that analogy of the seedling, some of them might not make it, right? Some of them might not make it. It depends on where the seeds were planted. It depends on how deep they were planted as well, where they planted at the right proportions to be able to break through the ground. Some of them might just spring up right away. You're like, oh my gosh, where did that come from? So to honor the cycles and rhythms of you and what you have planted, but at the same time to know that even though sometimes it can feel like it's been happening overnight, you're like, oh, there's the seedling. Wow. It's been working behind the scenes perhaps for a very long time. And there could be this feeling of pressure, right? Where you're just breaking through, but there could be some rocks there, and it's just how do you navigate and work around the rocks? It's it's so interesting at the analogies of the seedling coming through, which could be for you as well. So if there's rocks, or if there just feels like there's a bit more pressure or tension, to also not give up and not say, oh well, I guess I'm just going to stay here beneath the earth and wither and decompose and call it a day. That's not what we're saying either. But to know that there could be additional pressure or tension in the ascension, in the breaking through that you're going through. I have to say, a lot of you might be feeling a bit unsettled through this process, or you have been feeling a bit unsettled through this process because there could have been weather conditions that were not conducive of supporting life and growth. If there's been a lot of dark clouds looming around or grayer skies for you, there could have been this sense of being unsettled or uneasy and uncertain in many ways. We could have those incidences or circumstances that happen where, extra rocks in the dirt, in the earth, so to speak. There's still ways to navigate and move through and to persevere in different ways. And even though this month is the breaking through, it's not the full formed plant yet. We're still in the very early stages, whether it's those creative projects, relationships, with self, with others, with the divine, whatever these scenarios are for you in your life where you're breaking through, where these seeds are turning into the seedlings and starting to sprout. It's still in this stage where it's delicate. So to remember that everything is still delicate and fragile right now in this month. So you want to be mindful of how you are tending to yourself and how you are tending to your garden. We don't want to be pushing and forcing and rushing. You don't necessarily want to be doing that. You might feel pressure, again, that we talked about. There could be pressure or urgency, but really bringing it into your mind that at this time, things are fragile. Fragile does not mean weak, by the way. Being in a fragile state or a delicate state does not mean that you are weak, does not mean that it itself is weak. That which is growing and blossoming, it is not weak. There's more time, care, and attention required in these moments when things are fragile and delicate. Perfect analogy of a child that's still crawling. You're not going to force them to start running right away, and they might not start running right away. It takes time to get the motor functions to be able to walk before you run. So everything has a cycle. It's cyclical nature. Everything has a cycle. So for you to really honor that some of these seedlings coming into form are fragile and delicate and need to be treated accordingly. And you yourself could be in a more fragile, delicate state, and to be mindful of that, to be compassionate of that, to be as supportive of that. And once again, fragile is not weak. Delicate is not weak. So often the mind and the stories and the projections and society telling you what you need to be doing, who you need to be, on and on and on and on. It's being in fragile states isn't always encouraged. You're told to power through, to push through. You got to produce, you got to do this, on and on and on and on and on. But at the same time, really honoring the cycles and seasons of your life that you are in, and tending and caring and nurturing the seedlings, tending and caring and nurturing yourself is so important. Could we even say for the month of February, tending to and nurturing and caring for yourself is of the utmost importance? And making time, creating time, finding time to do that in whatever ways you can, because a lot of you could have been feeling energetically like drained as well as we're coming out of January. I know I felt zapped quite a few times. I think today, the very end of January, recording this, when I woke up this morning was the first time I got up extra early and was looking around thinking, wow, I don't feel drained and depleted right now. This has been the first morning that I've woken up in a while where I actually feel like I've rested, where I feel energized, where I feel ready to like get up and go. The past week for sure has not felt like that. The last 2 weeks have been a little iffy, but the last week, drained. And I've talked to other people as well, where it's like they've been feeling that too, clients, and then out in the in the world, conversations, friends, etc. So you might have been feeling drained or depleted as well for the later half of this month. And if you haven't, great. This doesn't have to be for you, but for those of you that have been feeling drained, lethargic, tired, being able to really nurture yourself and create that time and space for yourself to fill the batteries up again, or to recharge the batteries in the month of February, will be very important. So think of this month as, breaking through. You've already broken the ground. We talked about this. You've been doing like all of the heavy lifting and the digging and the weeding of the gardens and all of that. This is where things are starting to come into form in a more tangible way. And at the same time, they're still in that delicate space, and to treat them and yourself accordingly. Lots of love.